Hi, this is Randy Williams with the Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service. It's almost 5 o'clock. I'm getting ready to get started here. I just want to make sure everything's up and running so you can see me and understand everything going on so we're all on the same page. How you doing this evening? Has it been a good week? It's been a while since we've talked lately, and we should talk a lot more. But what I'm going to be doing every Tuesday night at 5 o'clock is I'm going to be going online and I'm going to be trying to answer anybody's questions or concerns that they may have and to try to help people understand how to get control of their finances, what I like to call own your life. Make sure that you can handle the situation that you're under, be able to take care of your budget and try to make sure you're doing the right thing, which is very important today, especially this day and age. I mean, we've all grew up watching our parents and how they budgeted and how they did different things, and a lot of us learned from them, and that's pretty cool, but that's how we learned. Unfortunately, 16 states in the United States do not require a personal economics course to graduate. That's kind of ridiculous, and I happen to live in one, which is terrible. I think people should know how to budget. I think people should know how to take care of their finances and understand what credit cards mean, understand what loans mean, understand interest and deferments, and understand what all this stuff is. It's an education you should really get in high school. Now, I do have a strong signal on my phone, so if you do see some weakness go in and out, it's because of the building I'm in. And unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that. I've done everything I could to get this as strong as I can. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about budgeting. What I have done is I have wrote a book called Own Your Life. Put this right in front of me. Own Your Life. It's an ebook, and you can download it online, and all you have to do is go to the link I'm going to provide to you now, and I'm providing that link on there as we speak, as long as I know I'm doing it the right one. Okay, I'm providing it on there right now, so you have a link, and all you got to do is click on that link, and you can download the book. And it's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's there to help you. It's a really good guide. And of course, I'm also here to help you too. So the object is for us to get things started and go forward and trying to get control of our lives and to try to get the budget right and try to make everything else right. It's very, very important. Oh. I got to get used to this system to the side of me, and I apologize. All right, so first thing I want to do is talk about tonight when it comes to budgeting, the most important thing you got to understand is you need to have goals. Goals are important in life. They're just the same thing when it comes to doing a budget. Goals are very, very important. Goals can be a little bit different, don't get me wrong. We're looking for a short-range goal and a mid-term goal and, of course, a long-term goal. And that long-term goal should be debt-free. That's how I look at it. I don't want to carry any debt. I like to make sure that all my money's going into things like retirement and making sure my kids are getting out of college, which is a lot of us are at that same age, and we understand that everything we do is struggling to make sure our kids get through college, and we provide the opportunity that we promised ourselves that we would when we started this having children situation. So setting up goals is very, very important. And probably the first thing we want to do is look at what are some typical type of goals. Now, have you ever had a budget? I mean, have you ever sat down on pencil and paper and wrote out a full-fledged budget to see exactly where your income is, exactly what your expenses are, what your debts are, and how much you have remaining? If you've done that, then you're step one ahead of the game. I'd like to make that our first ever goal, is to actually not only write down our budget, but understand our budget. And what I've done with the book is I've kind of taken some of the pressure off. One of the hardest things we do in this world when it comes to budgeting is having to figure out what we've done yesterday. So what we have done is kind of taken that away from you. What we're going to do is we're not looking to start a budget today. What we're trying to do is figure out your situation today. And the easiest way to do that is to play a little game we call estimate versus actual. Now, estimate versus actual, and what I'm doing right now is bringing it up here so I can give you a copy of it. It's part of the book. It's subject to. And what estimate versus actual is basically you write down your situation as you know it. Now, as a credit counselor, I'm always working with people with their budgets, and every time we do a budget to start, I'll say, hey, what's your rent? $750. Okay. What's your electric bill? $200. What's your groceries? 400. How much do you spend in gas? 250. All right. These are round numbers. And I promise you, there's no round numbers in budgets unless it's a fixed payment of a specific amount. So when I ask somebody what their electric bill runs, unless it's on a PP plan, where it's you got a fixed plan and a balanced budget for the year, and you know exactly what it is, you're going to give you an estimate. And that's the same thing you're doing in life. And what we got to do is try to stop these estimates from going on. We need to get some facts. So what estimate versus actual is, there's a column, first column you'll look at will be to actually write down what your estimates are. Now, we all have our estimates. We all have an idea of what we spend on groceries, what we spend on gasoline, what we do. We all have that situation. But what I'm doing right now, if it'll let me do it, and of course it's not. You gotta love the technical errors in trying to do this stuff. But right now, come on. I'm gonna add it. I don't care. I'm doing this live. I don't mind. If it takes me a minute to figure out how to add this on, I'm going to add it because you need this page. And it doesn't want to help me in any which way, shape, or form. So I'm going to figure out how to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'll get that added on, and that way you'll see the sheets. Now, the sheets inside the book, when you download the book, in the very back of the book are the worksheets for the budgeting and for the estimate versus actual. I just wanted to kind of show you one, and unfortunately, this thing's about as frustrating can get. So it's not going to let me just make a copy of it and give it to you, and it makes noises. So back to what I was talking about. Estimate versus actual. What you're going to do in the back of this worksheet, you're going to mark down all the information you got that you think you're paying for. In actual, we're going to spend the next 30 days doing nothing but keeping receipts. And I mean receipts on everything. I don't care if you buy bubble gum or a Slurpee. You need to get a receipt. And the reason is because you want to get a receipt and you want to write on the back exactly what you're doing and what's going on. Because it's very, very important. You gotta, if you don't write it on the receipt, you may not know what you spent the money on. And I've done that. So do me a favor, take a few minutes out of your time and go, hey, I went into Speedway and I bought food. And just write food on it. So it goes into food situation. Or if gas, it goes into gas situation. And what you want to do at the end of the month is we're going to add these things up. And we're going to find out what you actually spent. Now, I promise you something. That first month out, you're going to have a conscience. You're going to be going, hold it, I'm keeping track of my stuff. And you're going to probably be a little different than you used to. But I got a real good feeling that you're going to be about as accurate as you can. Probably a little better than normal. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. We're just going to take the figures from that and flip it to next month's budget and try to stay within those numbers. And that's how getting started doing a budget is so easy to get done. You don't have to go grab all your bank statements and figure out what you spent for the last 60 days to try to figure this out. We're going to start over, and we're going to start fresh together. And then, of course, you have me. You can pick the phone up at any time and call 888-767-9155. Ask me any question you like. You can send me an email at randy@adebtcoach.org. You want to see it? It's adebtcoach.org. And then you have me, and you can send me any messages you want at any time. And I'll be more than happy to answer those for you and try our best to basically get your life in order and help you own your life. And that's what all this is really, really about, is owning your life. Because the one thing you don't want to do is be racked in a whole bunch of debt right now, especially if you're 25 years or older. If you're under 25, I understand you're building your credit, you're learning different things, and even then you don't want to make the mistakes that a lot of people make. But, if you're under 25, having a little bit of debt is okay as long as that you're look to stay within the means. And if you haven't seen my FICO scoring show that happened a couple weeks ago, scroll down. It's on there still. You'll be able to watch the entire show. And it'll help you guide yourself through that to make sure you don't mess yourself up with your credit. But if you're 25 years of older and you're carrying debt on a monthly basis that's not your home, student loans, or transportation, then you're wasting your money. You're wasting precious time. This is not the time that you really want to have debt. This is the time you want to be putting money away and start planning for kids' colleges, planning for your retirement. This is what your money's for. This is not for Sears. This is not for Citibank. So if you're making only minimum payments to your credit cards, do me a favor, call me. Local number is 859-488-7670. Give me a call. Let's talk about your budget. Let's look at your structure. Let's see if we can't allot more money towards your bills to get you out of debt quicker. That service is absolutely free. I teach budgeting and education to anybody that wants to sit down and learn. I wrote a book that's absolutely free for anybody to follow. Ask questions because it's absolutely free. And I mean free. There's no hidden charges here. Free actually means free at a Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service. It's not just a slogan to get you in the door. Now, if we set up a debt management plan to start setting up to help you pay your bills back, and because you're overextended or your budget's tight, or you want to get out of debt without spending all that money on interest and late fees, and want to get your credit straightened back out, that's what a debt management plan does for you. Credit card companies do support you to be here. What they do is they actually pay fair share, and that's income for us to help you solve your problems. So that should tell you how legit we really are. We've been around since 1992, and like I said in many shows, you won't see me on TV, on radio, because I just can't afford it. I charge $65 to join my program. $65. And then when you're in the program, there is a monthly service fee. Now that depends on what we're paying, but it's usually never higher than $30 a month. And that means we're paying off a ton of debt for you. Anybody that comes here, let's say you're paying out $500 a month in credit card debt or installment loan debt and all that combined, when you leave here, you're going to be paying less than $500 a month. And you're still going to be able to get your credit clean, you're still going to be able to pay your bills, and you're going to be able to get out of debt. And a lot of that has to do with the creditors lowering their interest rate down, giving you an opportunity to get out of the situation you're in, and giving you a chance to breathe and start over. That's what a Debt Coach Credit Counseling does. We want to help you learn how to budget. We want to make sure tomorrow is better for you. My board, the board of a Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service, is ran by a financial guy with Edward Jones, a mortgage guy with Stockton Mortgage, a CPA, self-employed with Tom Breckel CPA, Joe Bergantino over there at State Farm Insurances and Life Insurances. These are what these people are about. It's also run by my father-in-law, George House, who's happens to be 89 years old and retired, and he used to run businesses, so he really keeps us on our toes. But this whole organization is run by a board guided to do one thing, and that's to help people. That's what we decided we wanted to do, and that's what we do on a daily basis. We currently help close to 300 clients, and we're licensed in 12 different states. I really concentrate a lot in Kentucky, I concentrate a lot in Arizona, and I concentrate a lot in Ohio. This is where I live. These are my friends, but I do try my best to help other states and other areas. Also, another thing that we're doing nowadays is we're helping people with their bankruptcy situation. If you haven't ever been through a bankruptcy in your life, you have to go through a pre-bankruptcy credit counseling class. Now, that's what we offer. It's the same thing as our debt management classes. We're looking at your income, we're looking at your assets, your current expenses, and we're also looking at what your debts are. Take a look at your overall situation to see if maybe there is an option to prevent. But most of the time there really ain't, because usually when you're talking to an attorney, you know it's too far gone. So at that point, we're able to not only issue a certificate so you can take that next step, but we also provide budgeting courses and everything absolutely free for you to learn to get your life in order. Bankruptcy courses are only $25. So as you can clearly tell, the expenses of a debt coach really aren't that strong. I run this by myself. I can only afford to pay myself. That's kind of how it goes when you're self-employed. But I'm devoted and dedicated my life to you. 32 years in the finance industry. I was a credit counselor. I started off as a bill collector for spas in Arizona, wound up with Discover Card in Arizona, then transferred to Citibank in Albuquerque, and then wound up at Citibank here in Kentucky. And that's how I wound up out here. And I went into credit counseling, and I also was a mortgage loan officer owning the mortgage house and working for several loan companies for 18 years, handling the mortgages up to about 2006 when I realized things weren't quite right. I told people things weren't quite right, got fired by Chase because things weren't quite right, and I wound up here as a credit counselor. And we've solved problems ever since when we watched the entire economy collapse with that junk stuff they were trying to force us to sell. So this is my gift back. It's basically what I do is help people solve their problems. The next step is totally up to you. I can't make you call me. I can't make you email me. That's up to you. But if you want the truth and you want facts and you don't want to pay for it, hi, I'm Randy Williams. That's what I do, is I help people solve their problems. If we need to cut the interest rates by 14%, lower your ALCO to make your budget fit, then I have a debt management program for you, and it's going to cost you $65. No hidden charges. You got a credit report you want me to review with you, find out where your debts are, who you owe, who you don't owe, and how to dispute the items. I charge $50. There it is. No other fee. And if you need help with your federal student loans, we don't even charge for that. We guide you for that. Because companies out there will charge you thousands of dollars to help. Thousands sounds kind of extreme. Hundreds of dollars to help you solve your student loan situation. All you got to do is talk to some of my clients, and that's confidential, and they're not going to talk to you, but I understand that. But if you were to have a chance to see some of the things we've done and help people and not having to charge them a dime, it's very, very important. You would understand that the pride that we actually take in having your budget work for you, have you and your family happy. That's one thing that I've noticed sitting here as a credit counselor is I go from credit counseling to sometimes I go to marriage counseling, and that's not fair, and it's not fair to the situation you're in, but a lot of it has to do with lack of communication. Has one person in the family's doing the budget, the other person's flying by the seat of his pants, doing the best they can to try to make it happen, and all that does is lead to problems you don't need, problems you don't want to deal with. That's why I'm here. Let me help you guys solve those problems. It just might make your marriage stronger again. I'll tell you one thing we learned first day one as a budget is a budget's done as a team. If you're a couple, it's a team effort. If you're single, well, you are your own team. But you get where I'm coming from. It's very important that we open the communication lines, find out exactly what people are doing, figure out where the best way to solve, and get a plan together. Start figuring out tomorrow. That's what Own Your Life is. All you got to do is download Own Your Life. Start at the top, some works through the financial goals. Contact me whenever you have a chance for questions. You can, like I said, you can email me. And what we're going to be doing is answering questions, working on getting your budget lined up, giving you the best tips and practices so you can take advantage of it, and help you build the most important thing when it comes to budgeting, a habit. It takes 22 days to start a habit. It takes 66 days to make a habit really work. And I know so many people that want to sit down and start their budget, but they fail. They fail because it doesn't work for them right away, or it doesn't work out the way they wanted it to. Well, no kidding, people. Life is fail. What we need to do is figure out truths and facts. And once we got truths and facts, then we can predict tomorrow, and then we can guide ourselves towards tomorrow. It's that simple. All you need to do is pick that phone up and call 888-767-9155 or local at 859-488-7670. Or email me at randy@adebtcoach.org. Now, if anybody's got any questions out there or any situations you're going through, I am kind of live right now. I'm looking for some questions. I don't see anything popping up here on any questions. So what I'm going to do is go into a situation I had yesterday and see if it kind of fits anybody's situation there was. Had a lady call me yesterday that wanted to do her bankruptcy course. And it's very rare that I ever do a bankruptcy course that somebody really doesn't need a file. It's very rare. This was one of the rarest things I've ever seen. I was kind of going through her situation, and unfortunately she was looking for help, and she saw a debt relief ad. And the debt relief ad happened to be a bankruptcy attorney. So she calls the bankruptcy attorney. He sends her to get pre-certified. She calls me. We sit down and do the budget, and she currently has $300 a month left over, as it is now. That's probably something the attorney didn't know yet. He probably just kind of went through the motions in the beginning, sent that off, and went on to separate ways. For some reason, I have frozen. I have frozen.